Good morning and welcome back to the NPL Championships Gold Coast. This is Dylan Kimlin live from Currumbin. And we are about to get underway with a quarterfinal for the teams event. The ladies have opted to go first. If you tuned into the broadcast earlier, we had both the sides discussing who will be playing. So for these games, there are 2 women and 2 men players for each team, and the teams decide who will be playing first. So we will have 2 gendered games, so 1 women's doubles game, 1 male doubles game, and then we will have 2 mixed doubles games where the players will determine who will play in each mixed side. After that, should there be a tiebreaker, we will have singles games, which we were fortunate enough to tune in and have that happen yesterday. The players are just warming up at the moment. Are we having 2 officials for this game?
Yeah, we are. We're going to tag team.
Oh, look out. We have Mark, who's been covering all of our games today and pretty much 99% of them yesterday. We also had Vin Trong cover 1 game last night. But our other official for this game is going to be none other than Margot Tredenick, one of the top dogs from the Pickleball Australia officialing board. The ladies are just having a good warm-up and then we'll get underway. Go to a quick commercial break from our sponsor 6-0 before we... Thank you to 6-0 for sponsoring the National Pickleball League Australia Gold Coast Championships. Our official Mark's just having a yarn and then we'll get underway. We already had Shaki and Dalabona earlier today in the broadcast, but you can see closest to our official in the pink clothing, Remy Marek, Yuki Horiuchi. If you are tuning in on Facebook, these games are now available on YouTube as well, which is amazing. And all of our future broadcasts for today will be available on YouTube as well. You can see in the background there we have the duo of David Swartz and Lee Evans taking on Ben Costin and Travis Fide. That should be a good game as well. It looks like we are more or less ready to go. Closest to the camera, we have Ludovika Shaki and Saba Dalabona. Currently serving.
Let's go, Pink.
In Team Pink, we have Remy Marek and Yuki Horiuchi. Game underway, 0-0. This is 1 game to 11, win by 2. Straight into a dink rally. First points go to Team Pink. 1-0-2. Dalabona keeping Horiuchi and Marok back. Results on the side out. Zero 1-1. Ludovika Shaki to serve. Net roll's good. Shaki unable to recover. Good hands by Marok. Team Pink, or Yuki Horiuchi and Remy Marek, both hailing from the Gold Coast scene. Ludovic Ashaki and Summer Delabona coming from Sunshine Coast, just up the road. First points for Delabona and Shaki. 1-1. Summer Delabona serving at the moment. Shaki recovering. Marek with the drive. Delabona and Shaki respond with their own. Horiuchi keeping Shaki back. Delabona and Shaki get another point. 2-1. There we go, that's another point for Delabona and Shaki. It's currently 3-1-2. Summer Delabona serving. Backhand drive by Delabona's good. Shaki with a recovery. Oh, Yuki had the chance to keep him back, just a bit short. We have a timeout here on the side of Marek and Horiuchi. They're just having a quick chat. On the left there we can see Gold Coast superstar Gordon Watson having a yarn with them. They're just having a chat. It's very interesting. Our official Margot Tredenik has joined them. Oh, let's see if she's having a chat regarding the coaching aspects. I wonder what's going on over there. No doubt we'll find out at some point, but coaching within games is something that I know the Pickleball Australia referees board is really trying to crunch down on. We saw it happen yesterday as well. Ben Costin was giving coaching advice during the event and was firmly warned by the referees. 4-1-2. The game is back underway. Delabona with the drive and the approach. Remy Mara keeping Shaki back. Great hands, Ludovic Shaki. 5-1. We have an Ollie Gray on court, just walking past us on the left there. He got the hit and quickly got a jog on. 5-1-2. Delabona still serving. A double-handed backhand of Delabona's is absolutely lethal. Horiuchi forcing the error there. And Ludovic Ashaki. 1-5-1. Pop up. Elite net presence there by Shaki and Delabona. 1-5-2. Marek on attack, ball still live. Delabona to Horiuchi, Shaki with a drive, hits the net. Solid hands here for ball. Horiuchi keeping it in, Delabona slowing it down. With a drive, Marek responds. What a rally, good hands. That's a side out, so it's 5-1. I believe the teams will rotate at 6 because we're playing one game to 11. 5-1-1. Delabona hitting it into the commentary booth. I'll need to put my mouth guard back in. These ladies hit the ball so hard. So they get a 1 minute timeout and the players will rotate. I mentioned earlier in the broadcast that I find the male divisions dink a lot more. Here in Australia we see a lot more long dink rallies, whereas the ladies are all out firepower trying to blow each other off the court. And that has definitely occurred. So far these ladies are hitting the ball with such high velocity. Six 1-1. Delabona with the smash. 7-1. And the drive is good. Yuki let it go thinking it was going long. Sheer amount of topspin that Summer applies to the ball, kicking it back in. 8-1. The drive is short. Hey, 1-2. Ball still live. Delabona with a smash. Horiuchi getting caught on the wrist there. We have a receiver fault here on the side of Marek and Horiuchi. So our officials just having a chat with them. So I believe our officials have cleared that up. It's 9-1-2. Shaki with the recovery. Marek keeping them back. Nice shot. Remy Marek has a really strong set of drives. No doubt played in the singles events today as well. Shaki classy. Corner of the kitchen. Right in the pantry. 1-9-2. Horiuchi just short there. Side out. 9-1-1. Summer Delabona with ball in hand. Drop attempt just short. 9-1-2. Remy just hitting that a bit too far. Game point here for Shaki and Delabona. 10-1-2. Oh, Shaki unable to pick up. Side out here. Yuki Horiuchi with ball in hand. 1-10-1. Delabona just short on that smash attempt. 2-10-1.
It's a net and goes in. As long as it goes in the square, it's okay.
2-10-2. Lob serve from Marek. That was called long by Horiuchi. Three 10-2. I believe Delabona and Shaki may have thought that was in, but they didn't challenge the officials. You must, if you think the ball is in and you have an official playing and the opposition calls out, you must challenge it. The officials will only call what the side calls. That has gone long. So it'll be second server now. 10-3-2. Drive attempt here. Marek with the lob. Smash attempt for Delabona. Ball still in. Oh, Ludovic Shaki right in the corner. Beautifully played. Game one will go to the side of Lou Shaki and Summer Delabona. The guys will quickly have a breather and we will get underway with our next game. And quickly play a commercial from our sponsor, 6-0. And we are back. This is Dylan Kimlin. Still live from Currumbin. We've just got the gentleman warming up. And we have a guest speaker that's going to jump in the commentary booth. I'm just going to quickly mute while we can get him ready to go. But for now, we're not playing anyway. The gentlemen are just warming up. And then we will get underway with our next game. All right, I'm back. This is Dylan Kimlin live from the NPL Championships Gold Coast. I've got a special guest joining me today. We've got Ron Shell here from the National Pickleball League. What are you? You're the big boss, the CEO?
I am the CEO,
Yeah.
but it is a huge team effort, Dylan, as you've probably seen over the last 2 days.
Yep. No, thank you for joining me. And I have to say, this has been an absolutely phenomenal event. We've had absolutely perfect weather, but also the Currumbin courts have been perfect for what we need as well. And you mentioned team effort. Like I credited the officials that we've had earlier today. The amount of work that they put in to just provide an ultimate experience for everyone on board has been great. But give us a rundown as we actually I'll do a bit of probably should do my due diligence and explain who's on court before we get into it.
Yeah, let's do that.
But closest to the camera, we have the my old partner in crime with the commentary booth, Gordon Watson's about to serve the ball, and he is playing with Pascoe, who we saw feature yesterday in the singles events, and they're up against one of the hardest teams to go against in Australian pickleball, George Wall and Mitchell Hargraves, and it's immediately resulted in a side out. So Ron, give us a rundown. How have you found the event thus far?
Dylan, firstly, thank you. You said it's a team effort. We gave the referees a shout out and the rest of the National Pickleball League team, but seeing you in action, not just over Facebook or YouTube, it's amazing what your sort of commentary adds to the event. And overall, we couldn't be happier with our first professional event. They're never easy to run, especially at the highest level that we want to run them to, and everything's gone really smoothly. And the best part about it is it's just been smiling faces, good competitive pickleball, and no dramas.
Yep.
And that's the biggest thing, is we want things to run really smooth for the players, because that's the most important thing. It then moves to the spectators and the fans, and then moves to how do we grow the sport of pickleball after we take care of those two people.
I appreciate that. Thank you for the kind words. And on that note, viewers, we are streaming this on YouTube as well. I know I had a bunch of people asking about the YouTube footage. So all of the games for the remainder of the day will be on Facebook and YouTube. You can catch that on the National Pickleball League Australia YouTube and Facebook sites. I would highly recommend tuning in, but also take a look at their website, so www.mplpickleball.com.au. As we have a rally here, recovery here from Pascoe. We can see Hargraves and Wall on the attack. Watson defending, unable to get it back. First points go to Hargraves and Wall. So let's talk Season 1 NPL. Pretty exciting stuff. What's going on?
It is, and it's exciting and very relevant, because right now on this call we're watching our teams event.
Yep.
This is the first time a teams event like this specifically has been done in Australia, and we got 16 teams, with 64 players playing this, 2 male, 2 female in each team. And the great part about that is that not only has it been amazingly well received, it's been high quality. The 8 teams that make it have been great, and this is just in Gold Coast, which gives me a lot of confidence for NPL Season 1, which is going to be a national competition based exactly on this team's format. So our plan is to run team leagues in Queensland, New South Wales and Victoria to begin. Likely there'll be a few more teams in Queensland just because obviously of the amount of players here. And they'll all play against each other in a round-robin 6-week format. And the best teams from those 3 states will actually play off in a traditional sports finals format, which should be super exciting and will be done in one of our actual dedicated National Pickleball League venues in Melbourne. But it's been awesome to see because, without knowing if people like the team's event, it's obviously hard to throw our full weight behind it, but having seen what we've seen in the last couple of days, people love playing in teams and fans love supporting teams, and that was always the reason why we wanted to do NPL Season 1 in the teams format.
Yeah, that's amazing and a good update. We've just to fill you in, we've just had a timeout on the side of Pascoe and Watson. We've got a ball on court here. Amelia Schmidt letting it roll from her side of the court. But time in once again, so it's currently 4-0-1. Mitchell Hargraves, superstar from Sydney, with ball in hand. Looks like straight into a drive. You mentioned there you had NPL venues. I'm very curious to hear about that. We have an HEP from Hargraves. It is good.
Yeah, so look, I think the key thing for us looking at the NPL that, you hear the name National Pickleball League and you think just league. But we're a lot more than that. We think that there is a huge venue shortage. We're not alone in Australia, and in order to grow the sport and actually have so many great teams, we have 16 here, but we really think you can have 50 teams around Australia if you have more people playing the sport like you do overseas. But we've noticed that if we don't invest in venues, we're not going to get the growth we need at the top level and just below, semi-professional. So we're actually very excitingly opening up an NPL super site in Melbourne to begin.
That's amazing.
In October with 4 dedicated professional tournament style courts, but also event space, cameras. It's going to be the real deal. It's going to be a place to be socially and for events, but on also running all of our tournaments and leagues in Victoria. So that's really exciting, and we think from that you can start to unearth amazing quality in Victoria and then eventually in New South Wales, which is where we want to expand to. And you can start to have team competitions grow significantly in Australia, but I think you've got to solve the venue piece first.
I agree, and I think as someone that's been in the sport basically since day dot, the biggest problem we've had is venues. It still is the number one problem. So I can totally understand where NPL are coming from in trying to alleviate some of that problem, and it's awesome to hear that the Victorian scene is starting to, get a bit more involved in pickleball, and they've already got some superstars down there. No doubt, as you said, the sport will grow. We'll continue to see more get involved. I believe we have a 6-0, so this will result in a side out here from George Wall and Mitchell Hargraves. They'll swap to the other side of the court. Speaking about 6-0, thank you for them being one of the major sponsors here of the NPL Gold Coast. Our officials are quickly just having a chat, and we will get underway with our second portion of this game. This game, by the way, we're playing 1 game to 11, win by 2, and then we'll rotate into the mixed games for the remainder of this quarterfinal. So 6-0. Mitchell Hargraves to the drive is good. But so fill us in, Season 1.
Season 1, great. So the plan is that we're going to have somewhere between 20 to 30 teams in Season 1 across, like I said, the Eastern Seaboard, Victoria, New South Wales, Queensland. We're actually thinking potentially New Zealand now as well. But the way it'll work is a 7-week season. There'll be 6 weeks of just round robin between the teams, where they'll play 2 matches each round, usually on a Saturday. There'll be probably a 2 to 3 week gap between rounds. And the reason for that, and I think it's a really important point, is that we want pickleball players to play in every single tournament they can. People ask me all the time, do you want people just to play with the NPL? The answer is no, because we don't have tournaments for 50 weeks of the year, and that doesn't make any sense. We think we're going to put on an amazing product that people are going to love. We've got $100,000 of prize money, which will go split between the top 3, but also a little bonus for making the finals. So in an example system, if we had 10 teams from Queensland, 6 teams from New South Wales and 6 from Victoria, the top 4 from Queensland go through, the top 2 from Victoria and the top 2 from New South Wales into an 8-team finals.
Yep.
And you play it very similar to AFL or NRL, where you have the top 2 top 4 get a double chance.
that's awesome.
And you play it over a 2-day finals,
Yep.
and the winners will actually win $50,000, which is an amazing prize. And you know, that's driven from entry, but mainly sponsorship, and also trying to build the sport and really attract, you know, even high-level ex-tennis players, ex-athletes to the sport. I think we have a finish here in the game.
We do. So the duo of Hargreaves and Wall too strong in the end. But we'll keep the stream going anyway, because we'll jump into the mixed games.
Yep.
So that's amazing to hear. And obviously, I was having a chat to a couple of the players here today, and suddenly, like, earning money is a viable option for some of these players. And to be fair, like, the Australian scene, I feel the Australian and the Asian markets are both about to explode. I think the sport is really becoming a thing here, in that, you know, paid professionals can start to, you know, make some coin off of the sport. But also, go ahead.
No, you go.
No.
Yeah.
And I feel that you mentioned sponsors as well. People are getting involved. People want eyes on pickleball. The growth of the sport, it's such a phenomenal thing at the moment, and it's really awesome that MPL are getting involved.
Absolutely. And no, thank you for that. And I think, you know, that's the thing, yeah. We're still not there yet for players to fully take it as, you know, their number one profession.
Yep.
And that's not a click of the fingers either.
No.
But what we want to do as well is that not just elevate the NPL. If we do our job with the content and marketing, and you'll look around and see, you know, how much we're investing in that space, we want to elevate players to become the same level of athletes that they are in the US. And then they're looking at their own sponsorship deals. And we're about to announce 2 major sponsors after this that will be concurrently announced with our MPL Season 1.
Yep.
And the beauty of MPL Season 1 as well, because there are some people asking, will the teams be mismatched, is there will be a draft. There'll be a draft system between the states, and we're going to work through that. That's all to be finalised and announced in a formal press release over the next 2 weeks. There'll be streaming for all games, major sponsorships. We're going to elevate the sport, and we're going to do it consistently over the next few years. We don't think it's going to be the biggest thing in the world in Season 1. We're not, you know, hiding from that, but we have to start somewhere.
Exactly right.
And build a, you know, in the future, potentially a 2-division system where you still have the very top league with the very best players. Then you have your semi-professionals, let's call it, who still want to compete for money and, you know, work into a feeder or championship style league.
Such a good idea. Like, because I'm obviously based in Morayfield with the Moreton Bay region, and there's a couple of young players that I've been sort of coaching, and I'm like, guys, you need to get involved. And they're not at the top level, like what you're talking about.
Exactly.
They're not there yet. But they need to verse elite players to get there.
To learn.
Something similar to what you're mentioning, with a sort of a system where if you're a player right now watching, you might be like, oh yeah, maybe I can tangle with the top, but I need that time to learn. I need that time to practice. It sounds like you've got a perfect system for that.
Exactly, and we're going to work through it as the sport of pickleball grows in Australia, but that's what we're investing in, I think, a bit differently than just targeting the top. We've already run social leagues, we're going to run corporate days, school and university events. We're going to market the hell out of pickleball. We're going to be doing content that will make it exciting, that will make people want to play this sport who never played it before, who thought the name pickleball is a bit silly, and they thought, why should I try this when I already have 6 other sports? Well, we want to change that, and that's a big part of everything that we're doing, but we're going to listen to people that are in the space and learn from them over the next 6 to 12 months to create the best possible product.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear, and we have commenced our first mixed game of this teams event, so we've got the Team Pink once again of Remy Marek, and I believe that was Chris Pascoe. I've just had to look around our officials, and they are up against Ludovic Ashaki and George Wall, which is a scary side. Pascoe scored the first point of the game there with that drive earlier before, and we are commencing, I believe it's 1-1 now. It'll be Lou Shaki serving. Yeah, 1-1 was a racehorse, and that sounds amazing that you guys are targeting schools and unis. I think that's the next space that I feel the Australian scene really needs to get involved with, is school curriculum, getting little ones involved. Because you mentioned grassroots earlier. That is literally the grassroots. Like, you need the next superstars to come through to our sport. So congrats to MPL for getting involved in that space.
Exactly, and if you don't start there, then you know you are going to cater largely to the same players with very few additions. But you can unearth. We've seen in Victoria just running 3 social leagues and about 5 learn to play days. There are serious players there who just don't have venues to play and haven't had the opportunity. And that's our vision for the rest of Australia. And I think you'll see with our marketing, it's fun, but it's premium as well. So we want to make sure that everyone's having fun playing the sport and doing it with the right passion, but there's also that elite aspect of it, and it's professionals, it's athletes, and it's the highest level, all the way down to how do we get people through to there and enjoy the sport socially as well.
It's amazing. Like, I'm a huge fan of Dill Pickle, your mascot.
I knew you would be.
Yeah, I've said it multiple times in the broadcast. I'm probably a little bit biased, but Chucky ripping that ball down.
You've got the shirt now.
Yeah,
as well.
Mate, I'll be repping it proudly. But so you've got 2 more events for 2023. Do you want to give a bit of a feed of what's going on there?
Yeah, definitely. Look, and I think they're really important events for our vision, because we need to keep running this teams format to unearth more players who are going to play in that first NPL Season 1. And so the vision is in October. We're going to announce those dates. We're going to have one event in Melbourne. It'll be a similar 2-day event to this. There might be some extra divisions to cater for different skills and learnings from our first Gold Coast event. But it'll be run in our NPL venue, which will be almost like a launch. And then we're going to run in Sydney as well.
Cool.
So we really think those markets, especially because of the lack of dedicated courts, they're untapped potential from the next wave of superstars. And the next wave of people who are, let's call them advocates of the sport. You know, people that might not ever play at the highest professional level, but they love it so much, and they're going to help grow and spread it amongst their communities. So Melbourne and Sydney, 2 events, large prize money for both of them. There'll be the teams event, definitely. There'll be singles, definitely. And there'll likely be multiple divisions. They will be 2-day events. They're going to be announced in the next 2 weeks.
Beautiful. So keep your eyes posted for those ones. We have a Dinkrelli commencing, Marek taking on Wall, which is a hard task. See what Remy can do. She pops it up to Shaki. Remy Marek wins the Dink battle. Well done. Pasco pleased with his teammate. So let's talk Melbourne, because you mentioned you're starting social leagues and whatnot. If someone is watching from Melbourne, how do they get involved in your social leagues?
Well, first things first, we want to draw everyone, to our website and our Instagram. That's where we update everyone. But essentially, we've got 3 or 4 different places. You can find them on our website, and eventually we're going to run 4 leagues a week in our venue, because it's going to be open from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., which would just be incredible for the growth of the sport. So, if you're from Melbourne, obviously get in contact with us, and just know 2 months from now it's going to be much easier to book courts whenever you want, and to join social leagues and learn the sport. We're going to invest in coaching. We might even fly down some of the great coaches from Queensland and New South Wales to start that process there, and then we're going to teach people as well, so that we have coaches playing out of our super site in Melbourne. And I think, the other thing I would say is that, we are going to do a lot of activations. You're going to see us around Marvel Stadium, you're going to see us around the MCG, you're going to see us near the water, you're going to see us potentially at the Australian Open next year. That's how you grow the sport as well. We're going to be doing a lot of that, and just getting a buzz about it. Just getting media, PR, making people stand up and listen, just like CFM coming down today. And a bunch of people who I've spoken to are like, I didn't know this existed. And this looks really fun. And that's our vibe, while we still cater for those really, high end and middle tournaments as well. So I'm really excited, because Melbourne and Sydney are massive markets that the potential is just huge.
It's unreal.
And then you can continue with Gold Coast, Brisbane, the Sunshine Coast, and really take all those learnings and grow some more centres here.
No, I agree entirely. And you mentioned CFM. I gave them a shout out earlier. We've got a $500 giveaway with those guys. If you are coming down to the local Currumbin area, come and say hello. They've got a looks like a wheel.
Spin the wheel
to get some prizes, which is amazing to see. So it looks like we've got a side out here. We'll just get a score check from our official mark. Still 6-1-1, Ludovic Ashaki serving. But how cool is that? You're talking about big venues, getting them involved, and the so registration for season 1 is early 2024, correct?
No, it'll be even before that.
Oh, there we go.
It'll be just after we announce. So sometime in August, we're going to open registrations, and so we can get a good idea of how many divisions and how many teams we're going to have. We're going to announce the prize money, the exact format of the draft, the early sponsors, which there will be 2, and then there will be another 2 or 3 more sponsors announced as the league sort of gets more exposure over the next few months.
Yep.
And that will also tie in with our venue launch and a few other cool things that we're going to announce to the pickleball world.
Yeah,
so,
that's amazing.
keep an eye out. The fact of the matter that we got 16 teams here and we're only wanting 20 to 30 in
Yeah.
our first
Yeah.
season just fills me with a lot of confidence knowing we've got 6 more months of marketing
Correct. Yeah.
as well to grow the base. So
The sport's about to go berserk, I think it's fair to say. We've got a timeout here on the side of Marok and Pasco. Looks like the players are ready to go and we can get back underway. Just wait for... There we go.
George was coming off an incredible game against Caden on court 5, 14-12 I think it was
That's
in the
what
end.
I was having a chat to a couple of the people earlier who were semi-watching and they're like, Dylan, why aren't you covering this game? It's like, well, it happens all the time. It can't be everywhere. But
Yeah.
but that's the thing, right? Like, even though this technically is show court that we're on right now, every court is a show court.
Yep.
The level of quality here at MPL Gold Coast is crazy with the players playing out of their skins. It's been a delight to cover, and I think the players that have come down to watch and spectators from the local area to come down and watch, they've thoroughly enjoyed themselves.
Absolutely, and I think one of the things we, as a new company running our first event, it was convincing, people that a slightly different format
Yep.
to what's traditionally been done, and a different schedule is not the worst thing in the world. It can actually be player friendly and spectator friendly, and that was one of the big things that, we just had to spend talking to people and telling them why we're doing it.
Yep.
And what I've noticed as well, there was a lot of, females in the sport. We were trying to get them to fill the team spots, and it's not as easy as we know as getting males to these high-level competitions.
Yep.
But I've had about 5 or 6 people come up to me and go, now that I know how you're running these events and what your vision is for the National Pickleball League, we would love to be involved.
Get involved. That's amazing.
And I hope that, to people listening that are females who think they're 0.5 off or 1 skill rating off, there's going to be so many opportunities. We want to make this as fun for everyone as possible, and you never know how good you are, like you said earlier, until you play the best or that level in general.
No, exactly right. And it looks like we've had the victory there from Shaki and Wall. They're coming off, so we'll have one more mixed game. I believe it'll be the duo of Hargraves and Dalabonna, and they'll be up against Watson and Horiuchi, if my memory serves me correct.
I think
we'll
you
find
are
out in a sec.
absolutely correct. Spot on.
So, but no, that's really cool to hear, and I'm glad to hear the ladies getting more involved in the tournament space. Like I actually mentioned, it's really interesting in the games we've covered in the last 2 days. The men's games that we played in the teams event, a lot more dinking, it's a lot more slow paced, but the ladies come out and they're
Absolutely firing, aren't they? Yeah.
So it's really interesting from a teams event perspective. You see both sides.
Yep.
So it's really cool for me, who's got like a bit of an analytical, statistic-driven mind. I find that so fascinating, and it's really cool. You mentioned the teams format's a bit different. We had a tiebreaker yesterday during the broadcast, which was absolutely amazing. I got to ask, 5 points. What was the logic behind that?
I've just wanted something that hasn't been done before, and to try it. These next 3 tournaments, including Gold Coast, Melbourne, and Sydney, is a test as well to see what is the best format for the most exciting pickleball.
Yeah.
And I sort of came up with it that if we're playing a lot of doubles, we obviously have to have some singles in the tiebreaker.
Yep.
But let's fire through the players sort of quickly. Let's put a bit of strategy into winning the toss and who you send in to play first. And it's worked out really well. Obviously, people playing it for the first time have a lot of questions, but now that we've had, I think, 4 or 5 at least in the teams format, there's real excitement, and you see people get very nervous before, wondering who are they going to send in first, how is it going to play out. And I know that when we have the semi-finals, which will be largely on these courts, and then the finals right in front of you, Dylan, I've got a feeling we're going to see a tiebreaker, and it's going to be unbelievable.
In the games we had yesterday, it ended up being a tiebreaker of a tiebreaker, so game 3 of a tiebreaker, and we had Martin Clark taking on David Richardson.
That was
now, Martin is one of the most respected players in the Southeast Queensland scene, plays internationally, but he was actually up against a single specialist in David Richardson. Now, David, obviously, no slouch either, very, very good player. But Richardson had the advantage because he's a singles pro, and as a result, David got the victory in a close fought battle. But this is, you're talking strategy. What better time to pull an ace in the hole than in a tiebreaker of a tiebreaker?
Absolutely.
To get the victory, and David pulled the win out in the end. So I love it. I think it's very interesting. It adds it's almost tense. It's like,
Yes.
oh, okay, we're actually playing for sheep stations now, and it's very entertaining. So I think NPL have done a great job in that regard.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think just one thing on that is that, when you only have 5 points to play and you win by 1, it's very different to when you've got 11 and you've got that whole game. You do feel tense
Yep.
from the moment you step on the court.
Every
So
point's valuable.
every point's valuable.
And we look like we have, so the teams are about to hop on. We have Gordon Watson and Yuki Horiuchi in the team pink on the right side of camera, and they're up against Summer Dalabona and Mitchell Hargraves for our final game for this mixed quarterfinal for the teams event. And our officials are just sorting out wristbands that I mentioned earlier in the broadcast about who will be serving where. But any other updates from the NPL side of things?
No, I think the one last thing just to keep an eye out on is that we do see Australia fitting into an international scene.
Yep.
So while we're in the National Pickleball League right now of Australia, we have been speaking to a lot of people, particularly in the US, but also in Australasia, where the sport's growing just crazy in Asia. How do we fit into those schedules and create, a sort of where you can feed the best players to the different tournaments, but you also make it very friendly for people to come to Australia for our tournaments. So we really have a wider vision. We obviously have to start here in Australia where we're based, but we're already having those conversations.
No wrong. Like I was having a yarn with one of the players earlier today who comes from Singapore.
Yeah.
And he was like, man, we need to get this in Singapore. I'm like, oh, go and talk to NPL. Like, go and have a yarn with them.
Absolutely.
But we can see our players just having a chat. Seems very animated chat with our official Marco to just figure out who serves where. But we'll get underway with our final game for this team's event. I have to give a big shout out to you and the team, Ron. You've done a phenomenal effort, and all the guys in the NPL gear have done such a great job as well. It's been very smooth.
Thank you, and we feed off the energy of the people such as yourself and the players and the refs who all want it to work and all care about pickleball.
Yeah, not
so
wrong.
I've really enjoyed it. I can't wait for our next tournaments and the exciting announcement. And I just want to wish all of the players, good luck for the finals. Yourself as well. I can't wait to see the grandstand seating around here.
It's going to be awesome.
And we're going to be pushing everyone who's not here, and I can tell there's a bit of FOMO. Definitely be watching your commentary.
Yeah.
We're going to make an announcement. We're going to send that out to all of our players and members, and just keep up the great work. And
So,
thank you.
Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, any other socials that people can look into?
Threads, which is linked to Instagram. So
Yep.
they're all at NPL Pickleball. So if you're just looking for us, just type in at NPL Pickleball anywhere on any of the social media platforms, and you'll start to see just an amazing amount of updates and even more sort of coming soon. So
Yeah, beautiful.
awesome.
Fantastic. Well, do you want to try your hand at commentary while you're sitting in here?
There is a saying, Dylan, leave it to the experts. But what I will say is, as they start a little dinking rally here, backhand to backhand, female to female. Really
Wait,
well
watch
played.
for the speed up. Dalabona losing the rally there with Horiuchi.
I will say there will be a tiny bit of colour commentary as we get to semi-finals and finals.
look
Just
out.
trying to get the crowds around,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
trying to get a few laughs. But
No, I'm
we'll
all
leave
for it.
the rest to the experts.
No, I'm all for it. I think Yuki got a bit muddled up there, going to whack a ball that was probably going out. And we'll just get a quick score update from our officials. I believe it's 1. Beautiful. Thank you to our... We have an all-star referee cast, by the way, while we're here
do.
at NPL.
They're some of the best in the business, if not the very, very best.
Yeah, we're very lucky. 2-0. Mitchell Hargraves still serving. So you rate yourself a 5.0 player, Ron?
I do not, Dylan. I'd love to say that because, you know what, no one can prove otherwise for a long, long time unless they actually took me out on a pickleball court. But, I think that's one of the things, if you came and watched a lot of Melbourne pickleball even we're running, it is that sort of tennis. They look more like tennis games for now. They are getting closer to being what a pickleball game should look like, but that's part of the journey that we're taking. So the answer is no, but if I wasn't on a broadcast, the answer might be slightly
there we
different
go,
to people that can't validate it.
Yeah, we call them bangers, people that play tennis on a pickleball court. But to be fair, like a lot of these guys come from tennis background.
They do, and you
it's
can
just
tell. Yeah.
just that time to hone the craft, learn how to dink, third shot drop. So we have to pop up here for Hargraves. Watson recovers, ball still live. Someone have ball on. Net roll, recover, isn't there. Gordon Watson, well played. As we have Watson serving in the super duper pink clothing.
We've had a lot of good response to the pink clothing
Yeah, it's good.
on our social media. It really pops along with the green of the NPL.
Oh, nice shot by
There we
Hargraves.
go.
Yeah, not wrong.
Yeah.
The players thus far, I think everyone's had such a good time. Like we were talking about the music in the background and earlier, and the vibe that MPL have tried to create. It's quite a pleasurable experience for everyone that's here. It is the weather's obviously beautiful,
It helps.
But,
It certainly helps.
but it's nice, and obviously we can come down and watch some phenomenal pickleball as Summer Dalabona with the backhand drive. But it's also it's more of it's an experience. Like you're here to you can be involved.
Well, you go to any professional sports league in Australia, and it is about the experience coming in as both a fan and a player, that you feel excited, you feel you want to be playing in the best competitions with the most people watching and with the most excitement. And it is a hard balance to strike sometimes, Dylan, with music and with excitement, but you can do both.
I agree.
And we don't want to go either way too much, where it becomes far too serious or
Yep.
becomes far too... laissez-faire.
Yep.
But we want to find that perfect balance where people are like, gee, I'm excited for when MPL announce the next event
Yep.
because it is really, really fun, but they also make sure they have referees
Yeah,
and
I
the
agree.
pickleball's at the highest level.
And I've probably got a really weird comparison for you here, but I do quite a fair bit of snowboarding.
Yep.
I almost get like a snowboarding vibe here
Yeah.
at MPL.
No,
like
I
it's
like
real
that.
chill.
Yep.
It's the music, and it's real boppy, but also you mentioned it's not too much.
Yep.
Like people can legitimately relax and watch their family and friends and cheer them on as well. So I think it's a really good tone that's been set
Fantastic.
here for
That's
the
great
Gold
to
Coast
hear.
event. So we've just had a swap of play. Players have gone to the other side of the court, and you will notice, I think Ron's going to skedaddle. Are you
Yeah.
taking off, mate?
I'm taking off. I've got the guys in my ear. I've got to start helping them with the scorecards and then what's next after
Yeah.
the teams format, which is the semi-finals of 3
It's
events.
going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to it. But thank you so much for jumping in the hot seat, Ron, and giving us all an update on the MPL.
No problem
And,
at all.
we will see you around, no doubt.
Absolutely, you'll see me around, and we'll definitely be speaking again really soon. And reach out to us on all of our socials or our website or email, and we'll be answering all your questions and the exciting updates I've touched on over the next few weeks.
Yeah. No, fantastic. Thank you so much,
Thank
Ron.
you
And
so
you
much.
have a good rest of the day. No doubt we'll hear you on the PA earlier.
Hopefully
later
not
on.
too much. Thanks, Dylan.
That's all right. Cheers, mate. We're good. And we've just had a timeout here on the side of... There we go. We've just had a time in. So players have recommenced the court. Immediately Yuki banging it at Summer Dalabona, resulting in a second service, currently 6-0-2. How awesome is that, having Ron hopping on to just give us an update from the MPL side of things. And boy, do they sound like they have some exciting things underway. Mitch Hargraves with the air up. 0-6-1. Watson with ball in hand. We've got a ball on court next to us. The ball just goes short. But wow. How cool is that MPL are having a venue built in Melbourne? The absolute dream of most clubs. As the current president of Morayfield Pickleball, let me tell you, we would love to have our own venue to be able to do what we would like. So MPL really promoting the scene in Melbourne. It's awesome to hear. Gordon unable to get that one over. I know Gordon Watson's been getting involved in the coaching sphere down here in Gold Coast. Absolute pleasure to be involved in. There's a ray of sunshine on the court. Dalabona attacking. Watson just short on that backhand recovery. That's a side out. Still 6-0, I believe. 6-1, my apologies. Dalabona with a drive. Haruchi bringing it in. Dean Crowley commencing here between Watson and Dalabona. Pop up. Forehand roll unsuccessful. 7-1. Watson just short on that drive. Or drive recovery, rather. 8-1-1. Summer Delabona serving. Backhand drives there. Yuki unable to recover. 9-1. Hargraves recovers. Yuki keeping it in. Straight down the middle. Delabona absolutely lethal with that double-handed backhand when she gets the opportunity. 10-1-1. Hargraves with the finish. Takes the victory for his side. And the final game of this team's event will go to Delabona and Hargraves. Shaki, Wall, Hargraves and Delabona will take the victory for this team's event and progress through to the next event. This is Dylan Kimlin live from National Pickleball League Australia Championships for Gold Coast. We will be back live as soon as the next game goes underway. Once again, all of this footage is now available on YouTube. You can find it on NPL Australia YouTube or continue watching on the NPL Facebook page. We thank you very much for tuning in and we will be back live soon. Thank you.